Alright, what is going on, guys? So today's video we're going to be talking about how to rig creature baits and crawfish style lures for perch fishing. It's something I've been doing quite a lot of this year, and I do get quite a lot of questions about it. So yeah, I thought I'd make a little video, talk about the different ways you can rig them, and yeah, hopefully it'll help some of you guys out. We've got a bit of a rain day today, so can't go out fishing and filming, so we're doing this instead. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I normally fish with these, the LMAB finesse fillet craws. Pretty much like the only creature style bait that I really use. These have got a nice thin profile, swimming legs, so they'll swim in the water. So yeah, really nice bait. But obviously there's different types, such as, you know, these Molix ones that don't swim. They've just got like these little balls on the end for movement, and then ones like these Z-Man ones as well that just like flap a little bit in the water. These are floating ones, super stretchy. The LMAB ones are not floating ones. So you can get a few different styles, but you sort of can rig them all in pretty much the same way anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna be showing you with these ones anyway, because that's what I would normally use. So yeah, just bear in mind, different creature baits, you're gonna maybe want to rig them slightly different. Like this one, if you fish it straight on a jig head, it's not going to swim on its own, whereas this one will have kicking legs. So yeah, something to look out for when you're choosing the type of creature bait you want to use in certain situations, whether the fish are slow, fast, whatever. You know, more slow conditions, you're going to want to use one that's not got kicking legs. And yeah, if the fish are a bit more aggressive, they're definitely going to go for this. But again, you can use them both in every situation you want to. But yeah, I'm just going to show you this one on the rigs. So yeah, let's get right into it. The first rig we're going to talk about, super classic, super easy, straight up jig head. Choose your jig head size based on the size of the bait and where you want your hooks to come out, basically. So for this 7cm finesse fillet craw, we're going to be going with a 1/0 hook. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. This comes out on the bait pretty, sort of like 2/3 of the way back, which is sort of where you want. It's where I want anyway. You could have it come a bit further back, could have it a bit shorter. Depends how the fish are biting, but yeah, 2/3 of the way back is pretty standard where you want it. So yeah, line it up, see where it's going to come out. It's going to be super hard to focus on the camera. Hopefully you can see just before the last ridge. So we're just going to slot her in. Like so. And that is rigged. Super easy. And that's ready to fish like that. 1/0 jig head. Comes out nicely. Those claws, it's a super thin bait, so those claws fold up really easily there like that. And yeah, that's ready to fish. So yeah, jig head. You can pretty much use it in any situation, preferably where it's not too snaggy, because you will lose a lot of baits if you are. You can fish a jig head slow, especially if you're using like a Ned style head, a stand-up one with a floating bait. Like I said, this one's not floating, but this Z-Man one, obviously use a Ned head with that, stand up on the bottom, and you get some super nice flapping action on that. But this, typically how I'd fish it, twitch it up and then let it drop back down, and then just repeat. Maybe fish a little slow when it's colder, a little faster when it's warmer. See how the fish are responding. But yeah, first way to rig one, straight up jig head, super easy and very effective. Quite a lot of good sized perch this year on this exact bait rig, just on a jig head. So yeah, don't rule out the easy option. Jig head's always worth going to. So yeah, there's the first option, straight up jig head. Next, we're gonna get slightly more complicated, but it's still pretty easy. We're gonna go into a few weedless options. So two options we can try with bullet weights is you can go for your Texas rig, or Carolina rig. So I'm going to tie one of each up real quick and show you guys exactly what they are. Alright guys, just tied up the Texas rig. Hopefully you can see that. It's pretty basic. I'm just on a pretty crude option of it. But yeah, I've got the weedless hook with the craw on it. And we've got a glass bead right there. Texas weight. This is like a 7-gram tungsten one, I think. You can obviously use different weights for different depths. And then you could have a little rubber stopper on there, like a little float stopper or whatever, where you can peg the weight, like so. Keep it pinned, but I don't have any of them on me at the minute. I'm just saying that's an option if you want one. And yeah, that's basically your basic Texas rig. And the idea behind this is when you cast it out, you'll twitch your bait up, the weight will sink first, and then it'll bring your craw down a bit slower than if it, like on a jig head with a fixed weight. It'll drop with the weight, whereas on the Texas rig, the weight will drop slightly before, and then the craw will come down a little slower. It gives it a little bit of a different presentation. Get a little bit of a hang time with this bait, and then when you go to twitch it again, the weights will bring back up to it, weights will fall first, and then, yeah, slightly different presentation. And with the idea behind the glass bead is it just creates a little bit of a rattle when you're twitching that. So when that hits down on the floor, you get a lot of clang on that glass bead. You don't have to have the glass bead, you can do it without, but that's kind of how the rig's designed to work with that glass bead. Like I say, if you don't want that weight to fall before you bait, you can obviously just pin it there with a float stop or something, and that's it basically. Pretty simple rig. So that's the Texas rig. Very easy to set up, as you can see, and that's typically with a weedless hook. You could probably do it without a weedless hook, but you might as well just you know, use a jig head or something. So yeah, nice rig. I've got a lot of fish on that this year as well. Then the variation of that, which is the Carolina rig, is, so the Carolina rig is pretty similar, but apart from you don't have the glass bead, and you have your weight above the leader. You have a little swivel at the top of your leader that it's not going to focus on, but it's there. You got a little swivel, then you have your weight above the swivel, leader, and then your bait's off down at the bottom there on the offset hook. And the idea behind this is, again, the weight hits down, and then your bait's got like a super slow, weightless fall down, giving it like that extra hang time that the perch sometimes want before they hit it. So it's a slightly different presentation again, gives it that different hang time. If you're fishing a river or something, like the water, it'll catch in the flow a little bit and move on its own. Again, giving it like a natural weightless presentation. So yeah, that's Carolina rig basically. Obviously you can change the length of your leader, just a quite short one, just so I could show it to you guys. But yeah, if you want a longer leader, obviously make it longer, etc. But yeah, the idea behind this is the weight's above that swivel. The weight hits down first, and then you get a nice slow presentation with your creature bait. Wouldn't use a floating bait with this, because that would just be sort of hanging a couple of foot off the bottom. I mean, it would work obviously, but the idea is to get that nice slow fall with it, whereas if you had a floating bait, it'd just be sat in the middle of the water column, which is not where you're going to be wanting your bait to be when you're presenting it like this. So yeah, Carolina rig, Texas rig. Moving on to a rig that's kind of similar, to be fair. I've used it quite a lot this year, had quite a lot of success with it. I actually caught my PB chub this year on this rig, and that is the Jika Rig. I'll just bang this bait on real quick. So there we go, rigged up with the bait. As you can see, you basically take a Jika weight, which is got a lot of fast hatch attachment to it. Put that on the offset hook, rig your bait up on the hook as normal, and then you tie your leader to the opposite side of the Jika weight on the fast hatch bit, and there is your rig. Basically the idea of this is kind of similar to a Chev rig, which we'll talk about in a minute. Basically that weight falls down, you get a little bit of a nice sway on that bait, and it just sits like slightly higher up off the bottom than it would if you were using a jig head or a cheb rig. Obviously that baits down a bit and you've got a little bit of a gap there. And again, it's just a slightly different presentation that can sometimes make the difference between catching fish and not catching fish. But I've had a lot of success on this Jika rig. Something that I only really started using this last year. And yeah, I really like it. Nice presentation. That weight goes down, it gives a lot of movement on that bait. You don't get that slow fall time like you do with a Texas or a Carolina rig, but it's just a slightly different presentation. Again, you just rig it on the offset hook. This is a 1.0 hook, or a size 1, I think actually this one might be that I'm showing here. And yeah, cool rig, fish in the bottom. If you've got a little bit of silt and you want it to sit above that, you know, that weight can sink in there and your bait's still going to be above it. So yeah, Jika rig. Give it a go. And next, as I mentioned it, I might as well, if I've got a weight here, just quickly talk about the cheb rig, which is another way of rigging. Let me just take this off the Jika weight. So the cheb rig, it's pretty similar to the Jika rig. Pretty similar to the Jika rig, but your weight basically has a wire through it. You tie your leader to this side and then your bait's got a little free swing on it. I'd typically just use this for weedless. I know some people use it with normal hooks as well, but yeah, I'd just use weedless hooks with this. But yeah, basically you just fish it like you would a jig, but you've got that little bit more free movement in the bait there. So when it's sat on the bottom, you've got a little bit of current, it'll move it around a bit more, if you know what I mean. And yeah, cheb rig. Very, well, they're all pretty basic rigs, but yeah, basic rig, very easy, anyone can use it. Again, just twitch it along the bottom, give it a few bounces up, let it drop down, and yeah, then Perch will kill it. So, that's another rig, cheb. Quickly, we'll talk about another way you can rig creature baits, seeing as I've got one sat right in front of me. You can use them as a trailer on a little jig, swim jig. Get that to focus. Not something people use that much in this country, it's more of a bass thing. But swim jigs can be really deadly, add a lot of volume to your baits with this skirted material, and yeah, creature baits work perfectly. There's a little trailer on there. This is just a 4cm finesse fillet crawl on this because it's just a little tiny swim jig. But yeah, you can use a very small light bait but create a big profile in the water. Hopefully, rather than fishing. I actually rigged this up today to try later on, so if it stops raining we'll see. Well, I'll see if it works. But yeah, swim jig trailers, or a trailer for anything really. I've used them as trailers on chatterbaits, on buzz baits, spinner baits. So yeah, creature baits make a good trailer, so just thought I'd mention that. And yeah, I think I'm just going to talk about one more way you can rig them, which would be the drop shot. Classic drop shot. A lot of people wouldn't use a creature bait on a drop shot, but they actually work pretty well, like mid-water. I've caught a lot of perch mid-water, well not mid-water, but 2 or 3 foot off the bottom. On creature baits, you don't have to have them sat right on the bottom. The perch will come up for them. Like a lot of the places where I fish, you don't even actually have crayfish or anything like that, so it's not like a natural forage for the perch anyway. But yeah, they'll work really well on a drop shot. Fish them really slow in areas where you know there's fish. And yeah, you can use your floating ones, your non-floating ones, whichever. Rig them, however. Everyone knows how to rig a drop shot up, so I'm not going to show you, and because I don't have any drop shot hooks. But yeah, that is another way you can rig your creature baits. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Quite quick, hopefully, anyway. Might not be, but hope that's helped some of you guys out. Anyway, I know a few people find it a bit confusing, but yeah, hope that's helped. Like I say, pretty basic once you get into it. I'll leave links in the description to everything you need. You know, your Texas weights, your Jika weights, your drop shot weights, your jig heads and everything. And a few different creature baits as well. But yeah, I'm going to get out hopefully later today or tomorrow, get some fishing done with creature baits, see if we can catch some. So hope you guys enjoyed, hope that's been helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.